All right, so it looks like we're ready to begin. Welcome. Thank you for joining us here at the Alive to Thrive webinar series. We are so excited that you decided to join us today, and we're so glad that you're going to be a part of this awesome webinar experience today. We are going to start by just sharing a couple of things about our webinar series. So again, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us, and we are excited that you're here. We know that this is going to be an awesome experience for you. We have a very special treat for you in our speaker, Vanessa Cooper. We are so excited to have her, and we know that it's going to be truly awesome. So a little bit about our Alive to Thrive program. So the goal of our program is to reach people with the message of how they can live well and be in good health. And we're trying to spotlight health and wellness during our current pandemic in ways that will help to motivate and inspire people to navigate through this changing landscape of how we live. So we hope to do this by educating, offering opportunities for people to be more aware and understand and have better knowledge of their health and wellness, as well as to motivate people to change their behaviors that may be affecting their health negatively, motivate them to develop healthy habits in different aspects of their wellness, whether it be their physical health, their emotional health, their mental health, their environmental health, whatever aspect of health or wellness that needs improving. We are here to provide a platform to help you to learn more and to inspire you to be able to make those changes that will bring you to a level of health that will not only be survival, but you'll be in a mode of thriving. So we want you to get past the just barely making it to the I am not just making it, I'm thriving, I'm doing great, I'm excited, and things are moving forward for me. So what you missed last week we had an awesome seminar with Dr. Suleika Michelle, who talked to us about self-care and how essential it is by reminding us that we have to put on our own oxygen mask on first. And so if you were part of our webinar, you would have learned how to develop a self-care plan in these different areas. And I've also included here a website. I was asked last week on how to get this assessment. There is a website that you can go to download a self-assessment plan, as well as download a self-care plan that you can fill in and keep with you and put in a prominent place that you can remind yourself of areas in which you can improve in each aspect of your wellness. So this self-care plan is to remind us of different things that we can do. So here's our toolkit. What does our toolkit look like? Well, we reminded people about aspects of their health that they can improve by exercising, by meditating, by reading, by laughing. We know laughter is good medicine, by eating well, by sleeping, by taking time off and having a green space. Well, interestingly, I know some of those things can help with our stress and anxiety levels. And so that's why I wanted to start our program today by talking about those things. And we reminded folks that there are 5 key people that they should make aware of their self-care plan. And these are the same people who I believe can also help us with managing our stress or reducing our anxiety levels. And so keep that in mind. And if you didn't think that self-care was important, the Dalai Lama said, if you feel burnout setting in, if you feel demoralized and exhausted, it is best for the sake of everyone to withdraw and restore yourself. So I wanted to take this moment to have us pause, take a deep breath, and let everything go. As Oprah Winfrey said it best, remind yourself that this very moment is the only one you know for sure that you have. And so, without further ado, we are going to welcome our speaker, Vanessa Cooper. And I'm going to share with you more information about Vanessa Cooper. All right, I think I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen for one moment. There you go. You can see me. Bear with me on the technology side here so that I can pull up our bio and share this information with you. Or maybe I'll do it the easier way. All right, I'll use this one instead. Can everyone still hear me? Okay, great. All right, so Vanessa Cooper is a life transformation coach and a personal trainer. After attending law school in Brazil, she graduated in international affairs in the US and subsequently obtaining an MBA, she switched careers and decided to pursue her true calling, changing the quality of people's lives by helping them transform mentally, emotionally, and physically. She spent the past 20 years investing in becoming an expert on human behavior and understanding how to create lasting results in her own life and in the life of others. Vanessa Cooper has a passion for helping others and helping them break through limiting beliefs, create change in an instant, and live a life full of excitement and fulfillment. In addition to personal training individuals and groups in a live as well as an online setting, Vanessa does corporate training. She holds workshops, masterminds, and one-on-one coaching. She is certified by the American Council on Exercise, the Robin Medanes Institute, and the Knowledge Brokers Blueprint. Vanessa learned to use pain and life's challenges as motivation for creating a life of joy, purpose, and fulfillment. Her prayer is that she can inspire others to do the same. That is why she is the perfect speaker for today's seminar, and please help me in welcoming Vanessa Cooper. All right, let's make sure we got your sound on.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Now I hear you.
Perfect. I'm so incredibly grateful to be here. I'm so excited. It's truly the passion of my life to help people become their healthiest physically, mentally, and emotionally. And by helping them master their emotions, their mental state, and their physical body. So this is truly a treat and an honor to be part of this really wonderful series that you've been putting together. So thank you for having me. Good afternoon to everybody. I'm looking forward to this time we're going to spend together. So we're going to be talking today about dealing with stress and anxiety. And Nancy will help me with screen sharing, hopefully.
Yes, I am pulling them up as we speak.
Okay, sounds good. Because the stress we're going through is very, very real. We have people dealing with loss of job, loss of income, fear of exposure for ourselves, for our children, often for our aging parents who may have pre-existing conditions that we really, really want to protect from this. There it is. There are people within our community and our social social circles who are dealing with loss of loved ones, who have loved ones in the hospital. I know you had your uncle in the hospital, Nancy.
Yes.
We're dealing with working from home, helping our children distance learn. And that is incredibly challenging, even for parents who homeschool and who have told me that this is nothing like homeschooling. This is very, very out of the ordinary. We're dealing with fear of going places for basic necessities and with anxiety over staying home and not being able to go to our vacations and have birthday parties and our celebrations. We're dealing with missing our church, missing our friends, missing our social life. And the stress is definitely very, very real. The Bible tells us in Philippians 4, 6, and 7, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Matthew 6:27 says, can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? 2 Timothy 1:7 says, for God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. However, if we are to be honest, we sometimes feel in conflict with the Word of God. We're not all alone. When upon the stormy sea with Jesus, the disciples asked him, Master, don't you care that we perish? Wasn't Jesus in the same storm as them? Why was he at peace in the midst of chaos? And why were the disciples in fear? So how do we overcome the fear, the stress, the anxiety? And the answer to that is we become masters of our own state. In other words, we master our state to where no matter the amount of uncertainty, fear, stress, and confusion going on around you, you decide what kind of emotion you will experience each and every day. And it means that even if your world is upside down, even if you don't know whether there will be money in the bank to pay the bills, even if your friends are living in fear and your kids are losing their minds. I'm a mom of 3. I know what I'm talking about. And they're misbehaving. No matter how stressful your job is, whether you're at home trying to maintain your income or whether you're a first responder, dealing with the stress of going into your job, it means that in spite of all of this, you still get to master your state and decide to be in control of your state and of how you feel. Let me emphasize that I am by no means diminishing the fact that there are many people who are mourning the loss of loved ones through this. But I'm speaking of those of us who are living, walking each day on our daily activities, this new normal we're having to create in this new routine, and we're walking around stressed and fearful and filled with anxiety. So I wanted to share with you one of my very favorite quotes. And Nancy, would you go back to that quote real quick, please? And that quote that I love so, so much says, the longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think or say or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is that we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change the past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. That is one of my very favorite non-Bible quotes. And it goes with what I tell people often, that it is not our conditions, it is our decisions that shape our life. So that brings us to, is it possible? Is it possible to feel certainty in the midst of chaos? Is it possible to control our own state when life feels out of control? So let's get practical. How is it that often someone who's been given all the love and support from their family, all the financial abundance, how is it that often somebody like that spends their life going in and out of rehab, and that often people who have nothing, their dignity has been taken away from them, they have been punished in ways that are abusive and inhuman, and often those people find a hunger and a drive to grow and give, and they often become the people that inspire us the most. We all know the stories of the Nelson Mandelas of the world. By becoming masters of our own state, we overcome fear, stress, anxiety, overwhelm, and we become leaders in our homes, at our jobs, and in our circles of influence. There are 3 decisions that you and I make each day that shape our lives. And those 3 decisions are what to focus on. If I tell you, for example, Nancy, I want you to look around this room. You're going to do this with me, and hopefully everybody at home is going to do this too. I want you to look around you and pay attention. Make a mental memory of everything that is green. Look around and memorize everything around you that is green. And I'll give you 20 seconds. Or 10. Okay, would you close your eyes? And everybody at home, close your eyes. And tell me, Nancy, everything that you saw that was blue.
Oh, so I know I'm wearing a blue dress.
Uh-huh.
To focus on green, which makes this exercise very interesting.
It's interesting, isn't it? Can you tell me what you saw that was green?
Oh, definitely. That was easy. I'm sitting next to a plant. It has green foliage. I have a kind of a blue-green candle behind me too. And I looked out the window. I saw green grass, green trees. I also have a painting that is on the wall of my daughter, but she's in the grass and has kind of foliage around her. So I saw that. That was green.
Okay. Was there anything purple as you were looking around? Do you remember purple?
I think there's purple in the flower, but that's because I know it.
See, this is a really incredible exercise, because this is like buying a new car. And you buy a new car, or you decide that you want a car, and you didn't notice that car in the street before, but all of a sudden, it seems like everybody's driving that car that you want. So focus is incredibly powerful, and focus equals reality to the brain, even if it's not reality in actuality. That is why, for example, if you're expecting, I'm going to use you again, Dr. Nancy. That is why if you're expecting your husband, he says, I will be home at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock comes around, and then 6:15, and then at 6:30, you probably give him a call to find out why he's not home. And then he doesn't answer the call. And then at 6:40, you send him a text. What's going on? Is everything okay? Are you almost home? He doesn't answer the text. 7 o'clock comes around. You give him another call. You send him another text. Nothing. 7:30, he's not home. You start to feel a certain thing in your stomach, don't you? Mm-hmm. You start to think of everything that could be happening. What happens when he walks through the door? Are you feeling a certain way when your husband if your husband walks through the door 2 hours after he told you he would be home, you've called and you've texted, are you feeling a certain way when he walks through the door?
Absolutely. You're kind of anxious, a little worried, and
yes, you are. And maybe none of the things that you thought could be happening were happening. Maybe all that happened was his phone died and he stopped at the side of the road to help somebody change a flat tire. But to you, all of those scenarios that played in your mind felt quite real and made you feel sick, didn't they? Because focus equals reality to your brain, even if it's not reality in the actuality. So focus is very, very powerful. The next decision that shape your and my day-to-day is then we decide, what does this mean? Something happens, you and I decide, what does this mean? And the meaning that we give a situation determines how you handle the situation or how you're going to treat somebody. So if somebody does something hurtful to you, does that mean they hate you? Does that mean they've abused you? Or does that mean they're having a bad day? That will be very different, won't it? In how you react and how you will possibly treat somebody. So that decision is powerful, and that will affect number 3, which is, what do we do about it? So over the next few minutes, I want to talk to you about mastering our state. So what is state? State is how you and I feel at any specific moment. I like to say we have a genius state and we have a stupid state. A genius state is that one that you walk out of a meeting and you give yourself a little pat in the back, and you say, I just rocked that meeting. We've all had one of those, right? And then the stupid state is when you cannot remember your zip code. Have you had those? It's not that you don't know the information. You have that information in your brain. You're just going through a stupid state. We have loving states and fearful states. Loving people can act unlovingly if they find themselves in a certain state. Generous people can act selfishly and kind and unkindly if they find themselves in a state. So the state you're in affects your life immensely. Athletes, for example, put themselves in a certain state before they go into a game. And that is really fun because often we get a glimpse of that, and I'll touch on that later on. But often we get a glimpse of athletes before they go into a game, and they're putting themselves in a state. And you know that if you are at an angry state, you're going to act very differently than if you're in a state of gratitude. So how do we take control and change our state when we find ourselves living in a state of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm? So that brings us to the triad. And the triad is, number 1, physiology. I'm big on physiology. Since I'm a fitness trainer, I'm a believer in mastering our physiology. So physiology, there is a certain physiology to the way we feel. For example, there's a physiology to excitement. There is a physiology to sadness and depression. So if I tell you, Dr. Nancy, that there is somebody here behind curtain number 1, and there's somebody here behind curtain number 2. The person behind curtain number 1 is very, very sad and depressed. And I want you to describe to me that person. Is this person's shoulder up or down?
Definitely down.
Is their breathing full or shallow?
Shallow.
Is their gaze up or down?
Down.
Do they speak fast and loud or quiet and hesitantly?
Quiet and hesitantly.
Now, behind curtain number 2 is somebody who is extremely excited. Is their shoulder up or down?
Up.
Is their breathing full or shallow?
Full.
Is their gaze up or down?
Up.
Do they speak fast and louder or quiet and hesitantly?
Fast and louder.
Now, you can go to any country and you will always get the same exact answer. We know how to do excited, and we know how to do stressed, sad, and depressed. That is not to say that there is no such thing as clinical depression. I am not here to say that, but we know how to do those physiologies. We know how to do this, and we know this intuitively, and we use this sometimes, because when our kids are misbehaving or bored and we live somewhere safe, or at least when we were young and there was no concerns, and we would say, I'm so bored, what would our parents tell us to do? Go where? Go outside, right?
Go outside.
Go outside. Because by going outside, what were you going to do? You would breathe fresh air, you would run, and you would change our state. So we tell our kids to go outside. We see athletes use their physiology to put themselves in top state. So if you think about an athlete or performer of any kind, a singer, an actor, if you see them right before they are about to go on stage or to a game, are there things that they do? Are there rituals they do to put themselves into peak state? And not only that, sometimes they do push-ups, sometimes they have certain things they do. But not only that, we know when they're off, don't we? We're able to often, whether somebody's singing, we're able to tell when they're off. So athletes use it, performers use it, and we use it sometimes. When you say, I am so stressed, I need to go for a run, I need to go for a walk, I need to get my workout in. That is you making use of your physiology to change your state. Except we don't do it consistently. So we don't manage our state properly consistently. So how do we manage our physiology, our physical body? So would you please with me sit the way somebody who's totally depressed sits? If you were totally depressed right now, how would you sit? Exactly. Now, would you please sit the way you would sit when you're totally excited? Totally focused and excited. Exactly. So which one feels better?
This one for sure.
For sure, for sure. So through breathing, through exercise, through walks, through fresh air, you and I get to manage our physical body and our state. That is why exercise is one of the most effective ways to naturally combat depression. And I want to pause for a second two things. One is that is also food changes your physiology. That is why we say food can be comfort food. Mm-hmm. That is also why people smoke, because when they smoke, they breathe, they take those deep breaths and all that. It changes their physical body, changes their state. That is why you feel differently when you feel, I am so stressed, I just need to eat a piece of chocolate. Food changes your physical body, and that knowledge allows you and I to make decisions about how do we want to change your physical body in a positive way. Mm-hmm. Now, there are times when you and I need to manage our state, and we cannot go for a run because you need to walk into a meeting and you need to control your state and manage it. So what are some of the ways we can positively manage our state? One is by things we drink. Just as there are comfort food, there are things that you and I can drink that changes our state in a calming and positive way. Breathing exercises are one that you can do at your desk, and I will take 2 minutes to teach you two of my favorite breathing exercises, because if you indulge me and you actually try these and practice these are simple yet powerful, incredibly powerful. So I will show you some breathing exercises here. The first one is a 1-4-2 ratio. So you would breathe for 1 count, you would hold for 4, and you breathe out for 2. So because that's too quick, we're gonna do a 2-8-4. So let's do this. We'll do 3 times. Take a deep breath in for 1, 2, and hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it again. Take a deep breath in for 1, 2, hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4. One last time. Breathe in for 1, 2, and hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and breathe out for 1, 2, 3, 4. How do you feel? You feel calm?
Definitely.
Yes. So another simple and easy one, it feels kind of silly, and adults are very self-conscious of the things they do. We need to become a little bit more like kids. But the other good and really effective breathing exercise that you can do anywhere is called the alternating nostrils breathing. So what you do is you cover one nostril and you breathe in, and then you uncover that nostril and cover the opposite nostril and breathe out. And then you breathe in through that nostril and you breathe out through the other. And you do that and you repeat it for about 10 times. And you repeat it slowly. And that's another incredibly powerful and simple and effective way to control and change your physiology and change your state. So that's number one, what you and I focus on, our physiology. Number two is what you and I focus on. So physiology is number one of the triad for managing your state. Focus is number two. So what you focus on highly determines how you feel. For example, if you have a horribly busy week, but at the end of that week, you get to go on your dream vacation, you are going to feel very different than if you have a horrible week and at the end of that week, you have to pull a double shift. I don't know what shifts look like, but I hear it's pretty bad for all of you amazing, incredible medical professionals. So if you have a really, really busy week, but at the end of the week, you have something wonderful to look forward to versus something really challenging, does it make it easy to go through the sleepless nights, the long hours of work? Because you are really focusing on something that you're looking forward to. So, focus, again, I mentioned this in passing earlier. If somebody does something to you that was hurtful, does it mean they wronged you, they abused you, are they having a bad day? You and I get to choose what we focus on, because there will always be plenty of negative things to focus on, especially if we keep the news on, and there will always be things for you and I to be grateful for, no matter how challenging the situation is. And then finally, language. So in the triad for understanding our state, the third one of the triad is language. Language is a filter to meaning, and we often hypnotize ourselves with certain words or phrases. We walk around saying, I am so stressed, I am so overwhelmed, I can't breathe, I don't know why I'm so stressed and so overwhelmed, and why I feel I can't breathe. Well, you just repeated 20 times that you're so stressed, right? If every time something happens to you, you say, God is punishing me again, that will feel very different than if you say, wow, that's an inconvenience. If every time something negative happens, you say, God is punishing me again, that will feel very different than saying, God is expanding me. God is growing me, won't it? So I'm going to give you an example of understanding and using your state to understanding and using the triad to change your state. And I'll give you a very personal example. A couple months ago, I had a very, very important meeting I had to go to, and it was a meeting that had the potential to determine and affect the next 10 to 15 years of my life. And I was really, really stressed about it. And I felt, look at my physiology, I felt like I was carrying the weight of the world in my shoulders. My focus was that nothing in my life could go on until everything in my life was on pause until after that meeting, until that meeting happened. And the language that I was using was, I'm so stressed, I'm so overwhelmed, I can't breathe. This is going to be a lose-lose situation. Now, it's not very hard to understand why I felt stressed, overwhelmed, and I couldn't breathe, because I was walking around telling myself that nothing in my life could happen until after this meeting, and that this meeting was going to be a lose-lose situation. To the point that for the first time in my life, I drove myself to my doctor and I said, would you please prescribe me something, because I need help getting through the next few weeks. So I got my prescription and I sat in my car and I said a prayer and I said, okay, Lord, I know how to do this. I need to take control of my state. And so I said, all right, first of all, I need to get all my workouts in, because right now I need to take care of me. I cannot afford to miss a workout. I need to work all this stress and anxiety out of my body through my workouts. Number one. Number two, I need to take charge of my focus and my language. So I have to get on my knees and I need to gain control of this. I need to focus on the promises of God, and I need to change my language. And so I changed it to where I said to myself, this is not a lose situation. This is a necessary step to where I really want to go. This is a necessary step to the best chapter of my life. And so I took myself from going to total overwhelm and physical illness, feeling physically ill, to walking into that meeting in perfect peace, because I managed my state. So your decisions are shaped by your state, and your state is determined by your physiology, your focus, and your language. And it requires becoming aware of your physiology, aware of your focus, aware of your language patterns, and actively choosing to change them into more empowering ones. It requires you to become a student and a master of your mind and your reactions. So I wanted to leave you with 10 practical ways to take control of your state. And those are, number one, focus on what you do have rather than what you've lost or don't have. Again, I want to emphasize that if you've lost a loved one, please allow yourself the time to grieve so that you can heal. I am in no way trying to diminish the reality of the pain of losing loved ones. Number two, focus on what you can do, not what you cannot do. If this time we are home with our children, we can't go to church, we can't go to our work, we can't go to school. Well, what can we do? Or with our spouses or whoever it is? Well, in my experience, for example, I desperately miss my church, and I know that all of us do. That's what fills our spirit. But I also know that my Sabbaths are very, very busy. I better be up at 5 o'clock. And they're very, very busy. Well, what can I do? Now I can slow down. I can go on the long nature walks. So focusing what you can do will change the way you feel about a situation. Number 3, fear is blinding. Focus on what is certain. This is not our home, and this is only our temporary home. So fill yourself with the promises that God has given us. Number 4, become aware of your language. Catch yourself. Make it a habit to catch yourself with your negative language and change it. Some people do not experience certain feelings, and those certain words are not even part of their vocabulary. People habitually use certain words and they habitually feel certain ways. And you can change the way you feel by changing your language. Spend some time asking questions. If you ask somebody who's stressed constantly, that's their go-to. You ask, how are you doing? They're going to tell you, you have no idea. My plate is so full. I'm so stressed. But if you know somebody who's always peaceful, ask how they're doing. Pay attention to their language, and they're going to say, I'm blessed. Or every day above ground is a great day. I'm wonderful. There's a certain language. And so catch yourself. Number 5, start your day with your hour of power before your life gets crazy. Take control of your day rather than allowing your day to control you. Start your day with prayer, with devotion, with quiet time with God, with exercise. Give to yourself first so you can give to others. So your cup is full and you can give to others. Wake up before you're home and set the tone for the day with intention. Number 6, choose what you will allow to enter your mind. Choose carefully. Flood your mind daily with verses, Bible promises, songs, podcasts, scriptures that bring you certainty. Memorize them and repeat them. Number 7, time travel. Think back on your greatest struggles. How did you overcome them? Did they make you stronger? Would you be who you are today if not for those unbelievably difficult, painful challenges? Think back on how God brought you through and how those challenges sharpened you, strengthened you. If this situation can make you stronger, then how can it make you stronger? If there is a silver lining, where is it? If there is a blessing, what is it? Time travel and find answers from your past to bring you certainty, to look to your future. Number 8, ask yourself higher quality questions. Questions are powerful. If you ask, why does always happen to me? Why do I always sabotage myself? Your brain will come up with an answer. You ask a lousy question, your brain will give you a lousy answer. If you ask yourself higher quality questions, your brain will come up with higher quality answers. For example, how can I make the best out of this time? What can I learn? In what ways can I grow during this season so that my life will improve? How can I become a role model to my children? How can I become a role model to those who don't have the faith that I do? Number 9, practice the triad that we talked about. Decide each and every day how you want to feel that day. Do you want to feel strong? Do you want to feel confident? Do you want to feel peaceful? What do you have to focus on? What language do you need to use, and what language do you need to remove from your vocabulary? How do you need to hold yourself? How do you need to move? Does your focus match your faith? Does your language match your faith? Does the way you move and take care of your physical body ensure that it is at its stronger? So practice the triad. Become a student and a master of it. And number 10, pray continuously. Talk to God throughout the day. And I want to leave you, before we go and check if there are any questions, I want to leave you with this quote that is from the Spirit of Prophecy that is so powerful, because it talks about the strength and the certainty that we can draw by going to the Word of God. It is found in the Great Controversy, chapter 5, and it says, the character of Wycliffe is a testimony to the educating, transforming power of the Holy Scriptures. It was the Bible that made him what he was. The effort to grasp the mind sharpens the perceptions and ripens the judgment. The study of the Bible will ennoble every thought, feeling, and aspiration as no other study can. It gives stability of purpose, patience, courage, and fortitude. It refines the character and sanctifies the soul. An earnest, reverent study of the scriptures, bringing the mind of the student in direct contact with the infinite mind, would give to the world men of stronger and more active intellect, as well as nobler principle than has ever resulted from the ablest training that human philosophy affords. The entrance of thy words, says the psalmist, giveth life and giveth understanding. So may we be encouraged that by constantly seeking a deeper connection with our protector, our shield, our defender, and that by becoming masters of our own states, we can overcome stress and anxiety, we can become stronger, and we can lead with certainty in our homes and in our virtual circles of influence. And my encouragement to you is, do not dabble. Anything in life that you're not committed to does not yield proper results. The habit of being at peace in the storm, which Jesus had, was one of a lifetime. If we don't have the habit, and if we don't have that peace in the storm right now, today is a great day to start practicing.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much. That was absolutely amazing. That was just awesome. And I love how you took those 10 tips at the end and shared them with us so that we have a toolkit, something to take with us, some practical ways that we can use the important information that you've given us to motivate us and inspire us so that we can thrive. And so this was absolutely awesome. I love how you gave us ideas from the Word of God in order to help to motivate us to find ways to use those practical tips to master our state, to reduce our stress and our anxiety by taking control of our negative thoughts and turning that into positive thoughts, using positive language. So that was absolutely awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
We're opening for a question and answer. Let me go ahead and share this screen with us. As people are coming up with their questions, I'll just go ahead and share a couple of summary slides. And let's see here. Actually, so I'm gonna try to do a transition here. I hope. Okay, so you guys can see that. I just have to see it on my screen. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to try that again. And so as we're going into our summary, I just wanted to encourage those of you who may have questions, use the question and answer function of our chat. Well, not the chat function, but the question and answer function of our webinar. That way we can actually answer your questions, and everyone has the benefit of seeing them as well. Let me take a look here and see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share this. So again, thank you, Vanessa. That was absolutely awesome, and we really appreciate you. This is something that, you know, oftentimes people will go and pay for a webinar or a seminar to attend to learn these valuable pieces of information and these valuable tools. So thank you. So again, I think that this is an opportunity for us to focus our minds around trying to keep peace at the forefront. And so I thought this quote was very appropriate. It says, "Set peace of mind as your highest goal and organize your life around it." And so those 10 tools that you gave us can help us to organize our life around getting our homes and our families and our own selves into a state of peace by using those tools. So I'm going to go to our question and answer. We have several questions here for you, Vanessa, and I'm going to go ahead and start with first just a comment from Lupe. Thank you for sharing this comment. She said, "Totally blessed," and we are thankful for that. Also, Lisa shared, "Thank you for your guidance. Do you have any tips for staying consistent and keeping up with positive changes?"
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the questions. Hi, Lisa. Can you see me, Dr. Nancy?
Yes, I can definitely see you, and she can see you and hear you.
Okay, awesome. So staying consistent and keeping up with positive changes. I like to say that there are two options. We often live a life of shoulds. And sadly, we rarely go from our shoulds to our musts. And unless we change our shoulds into musts, we do not reach consistency. Consistency requires two things. One is practice and not giving up. So how many opportunities do you give your child to walk before you tell them, forget, this one is not a walker, right? Don't do that. No wonder everybody walks.
Right.
Brilliant concept. The not giving up. And on us, we don't do the same. We try once or twice, and then we say, oh, I am just not a fit person. I am just not that kind of person. We often don't have the thick skin that we make our kids have. If they're learning how to ride a bike, what do? We say, and I know because I just learned how to ride a bike a few months ago, we say, you're going to practice and you're going to try it until you do it. You're going to fall, you're going to scrape your knee, you're going to wobble, but you're going to practice and you're going to stick with it until you do it. But with other things, we just don't want to be uncomfortable. And so we quit. So consistency and commitment and turning our shoulds into our musts means we stop with the excuses. We stop telling ourselves the story that makes us comfortable with not committing, and we invest to where, oops, sorry about that. I like to say we burn the boats. That's how you, one second. Dear puppy, thank you. Okay, you turn your shoulds into must by burning the boats. What that means is when you want to commit to something, say, I want to go to a desert island and I want to live there forever. That's my life goal, is to go to the desert island and live there forever. The way I stick with that goal is I take my little boat to the desert island and then I burn the boat, because then you're committed beyond the ability of going back. You know you want to do this and you want to commit beyond the ability of going back. So that looks there are many ways to do that. One is, like you said in the beginning, you find a coach who will hold you to your goals and who will make you accountable. You find a coach, a true friend who will keep you accountable, not a friend who takes your excuses, a friend who reminds you of your long-term goals versus your short-term desires that are maybe in conflict with your long-term goals, and you give them permission to hold you to it. You make your goals public where it's uncomfortable. You know, when you sometimes have some goals that you don't want to tell anybody, because then if you fail, they're going to know. Well, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to say, okay, I'm really struggling with this, and I really want to commit to this. So I'm giving you permission to hold me to it, and make yourself vulnerable. So, and then make a commitment. Sometimes the commitment has to be a financial commitment, to where, for example, if you want that degree, there is a very serious commitment that comes with it. It's a financial, it's a number of ways in which you commit that you can't back out. So you must commit in ways that you turn your should into a must, in ways that you make it hard for you to back out. I was telling somebody the story yesterday. I'm a fitness trainer. I grew up, I used to convince my PE teacher to let me write papers instead of participating in PE class, because I didn't want to do it. So when I decided I am going to live a fit life forever, no excuses, was when I said, I'm going to become a trainer, because then I can't back out. Then I'm really committed. So that's what I say. You turn your shoulds into musts, and you figure out what it is going to take for you to turn your shoulds into musts. You find accountability partners. You find people who love you enough to not take your excuses and hold you to it. And you find the mentors. All those things that you said in the beginning, find a coach, find a friend, find a mentor, and you just keep committing. And that's practice, awesome. Never give up.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you, Vanessa. I have another question. So we'll take another question here from Siobhan, and it's kind of a two-part question. First, she asked, what should we really be eating when we wake up in the morning? I usually have a green smoothie, but I've heard some conflicting info and heard that it may not be good for your blood sugar. I'll be happy to co-answer that with you.
Yes, you can go ahead and co-answer. I am not a nutritionist. I do not give nutrition advice. I know what works for me, and I work closely with clients with what works for them. And honestly, what works for one client is often very different than what works for others. I have clients who intermittent fast and exercise on an empty stomach and are able to do that. And I have clients who absolutely cannot do that. I have the way I eat, and I do drink smoothies in the morning, but you do need to know your body, know your numbers, know your sugar levels, become a student of your body, and you do need to work with your doctor to make sure that what you're doing is bringing you closer to your goal. And our bodies are incredible machines. If you're doing something and it's not working, your body's telling you something clear. So go ahead and please, doctor, bring your input.
Sure. No, what you're saying is absolutely correct. I think that the most important thing is, one, knowing your body, and number two, having the advice of your own physician or nutritionist in conjunction with what you're doing for your daily plan. So we don't seek to give any medical advice. However, I will say that sometimes when people hear conflicting information, it's because it's taken maybe a little bit out of context. So for instance, for someone who is a diabetic or who is pre-diabetic, and they're making green smoothies that may contain significant amounts of carb-dense fruits. Those are the things that maybe are contributing to elevated blood sugars and causing issues that may not benefit you with the smoothie. And so that's why, you know, looking at what is the content of your green smoothie, because I've had people tell me they make green smoothies, and then when I find out what's in them, besides a few sprigs of spinach or maybe some kale, all the rest are very dense carb dense fruits. And so they're putting in bananas and they're putting in mangoes. Mind you, I may make smoothies like that for myself, but that may not be what is best for you. So watch the carb load of your fruits. And so a green apple is better than a red apple, and, you know, understanding that fruits like bananas and mangoes and pineapple, those are very dense in sugar, versus berries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries are less dense in sugars. So I think in general, what you said, Vanessa, is completely on point. You have to know yourself and know what's best for you, and get the advice of your own physician, especially if you have a medical condition, because what's good for one person may not be good for another. We have another question here, Vanessa, and hopefully that that answered your question, Siobhan, and thank you for participating. Angeline wanted to ask you to elaborate a little further on what you meant by not dabbling.
When we, so dabbling would be wanting to become an entrepreneur, wanting to open your own business, but not treating it like a business, treating it like a hobby. If you want to open a business and become a successful business owner, you can't dabble. You have to go all in. You have to be truly committed. Yes. When you decide, I will, it's a lot about outcome goal versus identity goal. So for example, when somebody stops smoking, when they've smoked their whole life and then they stop smoking, if you talk to them, they say, and you offer them a cigarette, they say, no, I am no longer a smoker. It is so linked, it becomes so linked to their identity. So people will say, I'm not a drinker, I am not a smoker, and that's their identity. So when you're all in and you attach it to your identity, you will get a very different result than when you're treating as a hobby and you're dabbling with it. So that's what I mean. That's what I mean. You can't say, I will be active and go out for a walk once a month, because that will not be consistent with your goal.
Absolutely.
Does that answer that?
Sure. And we have another question. Thank you again to Angeline for participating. We have a question now from Ronla. Ronla Julian Prince asks if, I think it is, sorry, I'm going to try that again. I think if it was an easily learned behavior to decide how our day will be, more individuals would do this. Depending on the challenges faced, this can be an uphill battle. What practical ways have worked for you, Vanessa, in the face of great challenge and stressors? She also adds, this presentation was inspiring.
Thank you. Praise God. First of all, there is incredible power in talking to professionals. Therapists, for example, are wonderful. Talking to somebody who is not emotionally involved in whatever we're going through really helps bring us clarity. So whether a therapy, a mentor, a very objective friend, although friends can become very involved in the emotional side of it, is incredibly helpful for everyone. I think everybody should have a therapist, a coach, a mentor. But some daily things you can do. It's not easy. It is learned behavior, and it does take seeking out that you wish to accomplish. So it doesn't come naturally. Journaling is a wonderful one. That's why I say wake up early, wake up before. Journaling in the morning and in the evening is powerful, where you answer a couple questions. I am, for example, and that's where you write, I am blessed, I am enough, I am peaceful, and you claim those promises and you write it down. Writing down, today I will experience this, and you write joy, gratitude, peace, because that is the exercise, that is the practical way. When I said to Nancy, look for everything that's green, and now close your eyes and tell me everything that was brown, you're forcing your brain to look for what is green. When you say, today I will experience peace and gratitude and joy, and today the things that I will not allow into my world are, you're focusing your brain to look for what is around you to bring you peace and to bring you gratitude. And then you flood your mind. I always say, how often do you need to sell yourself on your goal? Every single day, because you will get distracted every single day. So you need to sell yourself on your goal every day. You don't eat on Monday and then you're good until Friday. No, you need to eat every day. You don't shower on Monday and then you're good till Friday, right? We don't pray on Monday and then say, I'm good for the week. Or I remember somebody used to who hated working out, and that person used to say, all right, I got my 2 weeks of workout. I'm good for the year. I'll see you next year. We don't do that because we know that it takes true consistency, and we do it without wanting to. When you're a kid, you don't want to brush your teeth every day. You do it because you have to do it until it becomes a habit that you don't think about it and you just do it. You force yourself to do it until it becomes a habit. And when you journal, you're training your brain to look for those things. When you sell yourself on your goals daily through journaling, through clarity, through focus, through the language that you choose, you're selling yourself daily. When you flood your mind on the promises, I don't wake up feeling amazing every day. Some days I wake up feeling crappy and I say, I am committed to not feeling this way. What do I need to do? I need to go listen to a podcast. I need to go listen to some music. I need to go listen to a devotional that will change my state, because I'm committed to not staying here. Just become uncomfortable with feeling a certain way, and commit that whatever it's going to take, you will get there. And if you flood your heart and your mind with it, and you force your brain to seek through journaling, you will start to create a habit. It doesn't come naturally. We have to create a habit, like brushing your teeth, like exercising, like anything else that we want to have success in.
Absolutely. Thank you. We also have a raised hand. Mauricio, I don't know if he's still there, but Mauricio, if you're still there, I'm going to go ahead and turn on your microphone and allow you to share your question with us. I'll give him a minute to see if, Mauricio, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining us, and share with us where you're coming from and your question. Thank you.
No, I don't have any question. I'm originally from Brazil, and I live in London. I just clicked on the raise the hand by mistake before, but I'm so grateful to hear that all the message that has been given was very informative, and I delight on that. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mauricio. We are so excited that you joined us all the way from London. And so we will hopefully see you again next week.
Be a pleasure. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. All right. We have a couple of other questions that are coming to us through our chat function. Liz is asking a few questions, so I'm going to try to see if we can combine that. She first of all says, thank you for all the info. It's very useful. How do I balance setting boundaries with a believer whose negative attitude consistently disturbs peace within a group of people? Maintaining a gratitude journal keeps me in a positive attitude, but it has been a challenge to maintain peace with this particular person, even when I make an initiative to maintain peace. So she's asking a specific question, but I guess we can answer it in a more general way. In situations where you're facing a challenging person who is bringing disruption or disturbing peace, how can you manage your state and in that situation?
Exactly. So one I always say we have to be the agent of change, and hopefully we can inspire those around us. However, there are people in our circles who are the Debbie Downers. There are people who bring negativity into our circles. And sometimes there are people who don't need to stay within our circles, but there are people who we truly love, who are family, who we do not want to push away, but who truly disturb our peace. So setting boundaries is important. It can be challenging, but it's important. And that what that looks like is you need to become comfortable with having the conversation and setting the boundary where you will say, I love you and I value your friendship. I value having you in my life, but I have been pretty stressed lately and I'm really trying to manage the stress in my life. So there are certain things I'm trying to not talk about. I'm trying not to talk about this and this and this. I love talking to you about our fitness journey, about our travels, about our children. But I'm really trying to limit how much I talk about these things. You also may need to manage how much time you spend with this person. So we have this amazing thing on our phones called Ignore. And, but it's honestly, it's true. It is true. Sometimes you cannot allow the negativity into your world because you are trying to set an example for your children or for your coworkers of how to deal with high stress situations. One example that they will look to you and they will see God. And so there are times when you may be emotionally capable of taking it and saying, okay, I can handle that person today, and hopefully I'm going to pray that I can bring that person some gratitude, some joy, some positive. But there are days when you just can't take that into your life, and that's okay to ignore, to say, I'm having a really text back and say, I'm having a really busy week, I love you, but I need to get back to you next week, and that's okay. Or and it's also okay to say, I love you, let's I want to talk about these things, I want to have a virtual game night with you, but I don't want to talk about these things because they really bring me to a mental space where I don't want to be right now. And slowly they're gonna be uncomfortable, but if you are good about setting your boundaries, they will respect.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's an absolutely awesome answer. We appreciate that. So we have one more question from Lori Kwesi, and I'm going to go ahead and share that with everyone. She said, first of all, thank you for the wonderful presentation. I find that you are moving away of, I find that we are moving away from these key principles of peace during COVID-19. Do you have any additional scriptures that you can recommend to help us to refocus?
There are. Our Bible is flooded with promises of peace, of hope. So there is, I'm happy to email them to you if you would like. And I was going to say that because I know we're probably going long right now. And I am happy to give my email as well, because if there are any further questions, I'm happy to answer over email, or even if anybody needs to get on a quick phone call, I'm happy to do that as well. But the Bible is filled with scriptures of faith and healing and peace. And so Psalm 91 is one that I have been reading with my children, and that I think we're committing to memorizing during this summer. So that Psalm 91 is a very good one. There is
May I
My
add?
peace, like,
Oh,
what's
sorry.
that?
Go ahead. Yes,
No,
go
no, no,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was going to say, while you're looking up that one, I was going to add John chapter 16, verse 33.
Mm-hmm.
These things that I've spoken to you, that in this world you may have tribulation, but to be of good cheer, I have overcome the world. So that's another really good one.
Yeah, John 14. Psalms are filled with them. Psalm 4:8. So there's tons. Corinthians 14:33. God is a God of peace. So there's tons of promises
Absolutely.
in the Bible that you can Google. You can email me. I wanted to just say my email, if for anybody who has any questions or would like to reach out, you can feel free to email. It's vanessa.fitzone@gmail.com. I'm happy to share any of the information with you, and I'm on social media as well. So you can feel free to reach out, and I would be happy to answer any questions that maybe we didn't have time to.
Great. Well, thank you so very much. I'm so thankful that you have joined us today, and I think that so many people were blessed by this, and we are very thankful for our participants today, all of those who attended. We pray that you were blessed and were able to receive this wonderful information to help you to thrive and to find ways to motivate you to do things that maybe you hadn't thought of doing before, maybe you wanted to do but didn't know how, and all of it with the goal of improving our wellness. And of course, to that end, I did want to share our upcoming topic for next week, which will be actually on love and relationships. And we are so blessed to have with us next week Christine and Aaron Wiggins, who are a dynamic couple. Both of them are the makers and how would I say? They are currently a podcast couple. Their podcast is on couples and love and relationship, and you can find them on Cruise Radio. The website is on your screen, and they've done topics in the past such as what's like got to do with it, religion in relationships, the struggle is real, sex, micro cheating, and many, many more. So they are going to be joining us next week, and we look forward to having them. It's going to be a real treat. They're personal friends of mine, and so this is actually going to be even more of a treat for me, because I look forward to sharing that time with them. And so we have many topics coming up. We're going to be here every Sunday at 3 p.m. And so hopefully if you were blessed and you learned something, or there was something that was shared that was very helpful to you, we hope that you will invite a friend, share this with them, and we look forward to you participating with us again in the future. As we close, I'm going to ask Vanessa, if you will, close us out in prayer.
I'd love to. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for giving us a sound mind. Thank you so much because you created us in your image. Thank you because we have the example of Jesus Christ, who was able to have peace in the storm because of the constant relationship that he had with the Father. Lord, my prayer for each of us here today is that we will have that same relationship, that we will seek that same relationship that gives us peace in the midst of the storm, not because we are not in the storm. Jesus was in the storm just as were the disciples, but he had perfect peace. So I pray perfect peace over each person here today, and may we use the faculties of our minds that you gave us. May we use our focus, our language, this temple that you gave us in our bodies to honor you and to point people to you, and may we grow in deeper connection with you, is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everyone. We hope that you have a blessed day and an absolutely fantastic week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Dr. Nancy.
Thank you, Vanessa.